In retrospect, looking back on the season, what was the toughest matchup for you all year? The toughest offensive line you think you guys faced looking back on it?
I would say definitely between Ohio State and I think Penn State had a pretty good O-line too. They were solid for sure.
All right, but none were better than Michigan's offensive line, which is obviously really, really good. So look, you get into the playoff game, man, and I've been asking all the guys this as you look back on it. I mean, what do you think? Because I've been very, very consistent in giving TCU their credit. I just think you guys are the better team. I just think you made more mistakes in that game than we had seen you make in other games, but you know better than us. What did you think being there?
Yeah, we made a lot of mistakes. Like, looking back at the film, even at halftime, like, we knew, like, we were just, everyone was, like, not on the same page almost. But, like, I would say, like, we just played a terrible game, but 9 times out of 10, we're beating that team. So, and that was that one time that we didn't, so it comes back to haunt you in the brightest moments.
So what is that, so you guys come back with a focus to get back. Now you're in winter conditioning and you're in spring ball. You know, I know you've actually been through it before, though, right? So you can compare and contrast. I mean, coming off of that, what does that do for you or do to you as you're in winter conditioning? Is that with you all the time? Is it part of the drive? Are there reminders? Like, what does that experience do to you after you have it and you get into preparing for the next season?
Yeah, I would just say, like, I didn't know what it felt like to lose, like, a playoff game that you should have, like, won. Like, I know the guys the previous year before I got there, they lost in that Orange Bowl game. Like, they were all set on getting back there. And now I feel like I'm kind of in that mindset now, like being in their shoes.
So along the front, you stepped into a front that had, established leadership, like, Big Mike, for instance. Who are the guys that have assumed that mantle up front? I mean, I know we got guys like Mikey who've been around, but up front specifically, who are the guys who are kind of stepped forward to kind of fill that void from the veterans that have moved on?
Yeah, I feel like Chris is definitely coming along and kind of like setting himself apart as like one of the leaders of the D-line. I would say Jalen Harrell too. He's taken big steps. He's more of a vocal leader. He'll get on guys a little bit more now that he knows like his role is going to be even more important this year than it was last year.
So I know we are still a ways away from this season. You still got more spring ball left. You got fall camp left. But I'm curious, where can you sense you, Mason Graham, are better right now than you were during the season last year?
I would definitely say my pass rushing aspect of my game, because me and Coach Elson, a bunch of all the D linemen, we were talking about it not too long ago, about how our pass rush was kind of inconsistent and non-existent almost in the interior aspect. So I feel like that's definitely something we've been working on throughout the winter and even spring ball now. We're definitely emphasizing that.
Okay.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah, hey, man, but, we saw, like you said, you were leading the state of California in sacks, so we know you have that kind of thing in you. You have speed, you have quickness, you have power. So let's quantify the power on the team. Who's the strongest guy on the team?
There's kind of freaky guys. Chris is definitely one of them. Drake Nugent, I think, is pretty strong. I was in his lifting group this past winter. We were doing all the workouts type together. Trente Jones is pretty strong. I'd say I'm up there too.
Yeah, I want to know where you fit on that list. Like when we had Amari on it, I said, "Who's the fastest guy on the team?" He said, "Me."
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's different aspects of like lifting that I'm better at than like them, or they're better at than me. But
so what is the aspect of lifting that you're better at?
I think I'm better like at the like pressing stuff, and then because I know Trente's hit some crazy stuff. Like we have this one workout called Turkish Get Up. You start from the ground up, and you have like a dumbbell in your hand, and you have to get from the ground all the way up, laying back on your back. You have to get all the way up and then go all the way down. He's done some crazy numbers on that. Same with Chris too.
Yeah, I think Aiden had done some crazy numbers.
Yeah, he had the bar and he had the 45 plates on the side. That's crazy.
No one's doing that?
No.
Okay, I got you. All right. Hey, that's that number two. That's that number 2 draft pick special kind of strength, right? Now that you guys are in it, I like to get scouting reports on some of the other guys on the field. How's Kenneth Graham coming along? That's one of your classmates and line mates. How's he coming along?
He's definitely taking huge strides, I think. He knows the defense a lot more. He knows, like, not only his job, like, kind of like what's going on around him, like the concept of the defense. He's definitely taking huge steps, though, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then, you get a chance to see the offensive lineman from a different perspective as well. So I'm not as interested in the established guys.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know about, and don't say everyone's standing out, man. I know I get that all the time. But of the guys who weren't starters, the background guys from last year, who have you really noticed? Like last year, you're measuring yourself against Olu.
Mm-hmm.
Who amongst the young guys you're like, man, that guy's giving me some run when you face him in practice?
I wouldn't say Gio was like a underrated guy last year.
Right.
He had a decent amount of playing time last year. He's definitely stepped up. I feel like we go at it a little bit in the run game, stuff like that. He's been doing well. Raheem Anderson he's a sturdy guy. He's hard to move around too.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing great. And then, not gonna lie, Dom Jadis, he transferred from D-line to O-line, and he's definitely coming along.
Really?
Yes.
Really? So interior or on the outside?
No, he plays like center guard type.
Okay.
But it's just great to see his growth from just starting this past fall. He got moved over to this spring. He's definitely gotten way better.
Gotcha, man. All right, so now we talk about the part of the game that I wonder if, as a young guy, or the part of being on this team as a young guy, I wonder how you dealt with. You had the talk with Coach Harbaugh in the NFL, and then once that passed, you had the talk with Coach Mentor in the NFL. The veteran guys that I talked to that have come through here, they're like, hey, man, it is what it is. It's part of the territory.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the young guys, though, even some of the new coaches, they were kind of freaked out at the time. How did you process all of that while it was going on?
I mean, definitely the first time when I was coming in for my mid-year, Coach Harbaugh was having those NFL talks. I think I was more rattled then than I'd say now. I just knew Michigan was a spot for me. Whoever's going to come in is going to do a great job. It's always going to be Michigan. But this second time, I wasn't too worried. I knew I could still play here. Say worst comes to worst, they do leave. I just know someone's going to be in to fill their shoes. That'll just get us right as well.